Okay, so I am Ritesh. I look after the international wing of Pratham. I believe Ananya, both of us met during the school event, right?
I didn't attend it.
Okay,
I, I was absent that day.
so I have a little detail about you, which I would like to ascertain first, and then probably we can look at your questions and answer them one after the other. So you are presently in class 11th, and you're probably looking at studying either law or psychology. Is that correct?
Yes. Yes, that's correct. But I'm also looking into being a diplomat.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So probably international relations is another area that you would look at.
Yes.
And the preference of a country is United States. And I've been told that probably your grandparents live there.
Yes, grandparents and bade papa.
You had a 91% in your in your 10th, and
Tenth.
83% in your ninth, right?
Yes, around 83. I was not sure about the number, but it was
Great.
around 80.
That's absolutely fine. So these were the little details that I had already about you. Now, whatever questions you have in your mind, you can go ahead and ask me, and I'll answer as descriptively as possible. Please tell me.
So I was looking into law for US, but I couldn't really, feel justified that yes, I couldn't practice back in India. And there's like many questions whether I should do it or not, as law is very expensive in
Absolutely.
US.
So, if you have plans to come back to India at a certain point, okay, then probably I would advise that countries like UK and Australia can still be good for a law program, but India probably will be the best for a law program. Okay? क्योंकि पता क्या होता है जब आप वहाँ लॉ पढ़ने जाओगे ना, पहले तो उनका बैरियर ये होता है कि आप सीधा लॉ स्कूल नहीं जा सकते. You have to do a 4 year graduation. Then you have to appear for an entrance. Then you get through a law school. Okay. So the number of years of study is quite high, and obviously the expenditure also is very high. और उसके बाद आप कभी भी इंडिया आकर लॉ प्रैक्टिस नहीं कर सकते, क्योंकि उनका कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन और हमारा कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन टोटली डिफरेंट है. उनके यहाँ फेडरल लॉ प्रैक्टिस होता है, ठीक है, हमारे यहाँ कॉन्स्टिट्यूशनल लॉ प्रैक्टिस होता है. तो बिल्कुल बहुत ज्यादा डिफरेंस है. तो आप सिर्फ इमिग्रेशन में काम कर पाओगे और कहीं पर भी आप काम नहीं कर सकते. तो दैट बिकम्स अ ह्यूज प्रॉब्लम फॉर यू. ऑल्दो आई एम नॉट सेइंग कि कोई भी जॉब नहीं मिलेगी, ऐसा नहीं है. देयर आर जॉब्स अवेलेबल, बट लेसर नंबर ऑफ जॉब्स होगा, और इंडिया में प्रैक्टिस एज अ लॉयर आप नहीं कर सकते. ओके. So that is where most of the people, when they look at law programs, their first preference is India. Okay. And then probably if they apply abroad, they majorly look at United Kingdom or Australia, क्योंकि वहाँ का कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन हमारे कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन से सेम है. हमारा बार काउंसिल वहाँ के कोर्सेज अप्रूव करके रख चुका है ऑलरेडी. So there is a list which is available online, which you can check out, which is the list of universities where you can study and which are approved by the bar council of. So that is already available on Google. You can check. So those are the only universities that we should go to. Okay. Any other question that I can answer?
uh, so what about the psychology field? Is there any scope in US and
Of course, there is a lot of work that is being happening there in terms of psyche. They treat psychology as a STEM course, the first thing. So STEM means science, technology, engineering, maths, these type of courses. They treat psychology as a STEM course. So if you study psychology there, they will give you a job search visa, which is for 3 years. That means after completion of your work, you will have 3 years of time to look for a job. And psychology there is a very vital thing because people are very open to discussing their problems. They are very open to going to a psychologist and telling about their issues and taking help, which is a taboo in our country. हालांकि यहाँ पे भी चीजें सुधर रही है, लेकिन इतना नहीं. So waha, it is very open. Secondly, research organizations there are using psychologists a lot. Okay. to figure out about consumer behavior. Like, for example, let's say I buy a car which is worth 1 crore. So the company now wants to know that at what point did I decide to actually buy the car? What was the process that was going on in my mind? How did I come to decide? Obviously, एक रात में तो decide नहीं किया होगा, एक process होगा. So what is the process that I follow? They want to map that out so that they know that for other customers also the same process might apply, and when should we catch hold of them. So that is where psychology is becoming pretty important. And you can definitely apply. You have maths with you as a course. So you can apply for the BA psychology courses across United States. Okay? And this will be a 4-year course. Okay? Uh, when you apply to US, please remember that grades from class 9th to class 12th will be important. And apart from the grades, they will require a lot of other things. They keep a very good weightage over every factor. Okay? So if you look at their factors, academics is just one of them. The other factor is standardized test scores like SAT. Okay. So you need to take the SAT probably next year or this year itself. It will be a great idea. Okay. Uh, the next SAT will be somewhere in the month of March or June. Probably that will be digital SAT. You can take that from home itself. So that is one. And your target score in SAT should be nothing less than 1500. That is number one. Number two, as you're right now in class 11th, you can also write another paper called Advanced Placements. AP.
AP test. Yeah.
Yeah. So if you're aware of it, AP will happen next year in the month of May, and the registration process of APs have already started. So you might as well register for an AP exam in the month of May. It
It might give me an advantage for that.
absolutely, it proves your subject motivation. This year I have applied for one of my students to Harvard, and his scores, if you look at them, academic scores, are nothing like, very high or something. It's pretty okay. But if you look at his subject motivation, things that he has done towards showing his interest towards the subject, that is immaculate. He's done so many workshops for gaining knowledge in his subject. He's interviewed ATM CEO. Uh, he's also gone off to certain workshops or say events, Olympiads, etc. All proving his interest towards economics. And now when he's applied, Harvard, okay, they didn't approve his application immediately, but they didn't reject it either. Okay,
Waitlisted.
they have waitlisted him, sort of waitlisted him. Okay, which is a big thing to happen for somebody who's an average scorer, right? So this proves the point that if we prove to them that how keen are we regarding the subject, they will be keen about us. So how do we prove our keenness? One thing is getting your AP test correct. So if you can get a 3 out of 5 in the AP subject, that will prove our interest. Secondly, if you can do some additional courses beyond your CBSC, IB, or ICSC curriculum. Okay. So let's say I take up a basics of psychology course from, let's say, one of the online platforms or probably one of the top-notch universities doing an online course, and I take that up. Okay. And I complete that course. That proves my subject interest. Attending, say, internships or say attending lectures of famous psychologists or probably writing notes about several areas of psychology, that can also accurately prove your interest towards us. This is one part. The third is, so academics done, interest towards subject done. Now third is, they do not like to recruit selfish people, more so in the case of psychology. They would like to have people who have the guts to give back to the country or give back to the civilization. So you'll have to prove your worth there. So from straight from now onward, probably if you can jump into some sort of an initiative where you can prove that how strongly how strong an initiative taker you are.
Some type of community service, you say?
Yes, absolutely. And it can be anything. It could be towards environment, it could be towards domestic animals, it could be towards humans. specially abled people, anything of that sort that can work. Okay. So we can create an idea, and I'm not pointing at an NGO here, because everybody is trying to jump onto an NGO and grab a certificate. That's a pretty common thing to do. What I would rather, suggest is to start your own initiative. So
So can
just
you
to,
give us the example for that?
I'm just giving it. So one of my student, she studied at school, Springdale's Pusa Road. Her name is Anvita Bakshi. So she went on to a painting exhibition at Dilli Haat, and she happened to see a picture which she liked. So she just inquired that who probably is the artist, if I can meet them. The painting was being sold at 2,500 rupees. And she had her father along with her, who has worked with curators, has worked with several artists and everything. So he immediately understood that it is a very low priced, being sold. So the price should be far more high. So they ultimately met the guy, and he turned out to be a simple man from Rajasthan who's never even been to a school. He can't even write his name. Imagine. So these guys, they thought that this guy is being duped. So they came back to our office and they said that we didn't like it, that his work was being sold for such a low price. It could be easily sold at 50, 60,000 rupees. So then we thought together that what to do about it. So we said, okay, let us start an initiative of an online art gallery. So it was just post the COVID era. So at this point, what happens is that online art galleries, they come for 15, 20 days and then they are put off. Even art galleries, if you go to them, artist normally hires an art gallery for say 7 to 10 days. They have to pay the rent for that place, and then they move out of it. Right? This is how it works. So we wanted to create something which will stay forever. Okay? So we started building a website which was available 24 by 7 into 365 days. And we asked the artist to give us photographs of his work. He had to send a photograph actually, and we had to get prints of his work. We uploaded them and we opened the sale. May 22nd, 2022, we sold the first piece at 53,000 rupees. And we gave 10% of that money to the school where his daughter goes to, the artist's daughter goes to in that district, and remaining 90% of the money went to the artist itself. So this website is called artgully.com. If you wish to see, you can, just log on to and see. So it's a wonderful initiative by somebody who just studies in class 11. So something of this nature. Probably the impact may not be to a large extent, but at least in an area like Rajasthan, there are a lot of artisans. You know, we get flooded with the calls. Every week we get calls from various parts of Rajasthan where, local artists, they want to showcase their work through artgallery.com. This is a very good initiative by a youngster, okay? And it really is impactful. This is what, we look at. Something which is very impactful and impacts a few lives in whatsoever possible way, right? So probably we together can think about such an initiative and build it up. Okay, so that is one. Beyond all of this, as you are getting into psychology, your research skills will always be tested. So I would request you to kindly understand how to write research papers, try and learn it from us, and start writing research papers and getting them published. Okay. So that will make a lot of sense. Plus, probably we will try and see if we can get some internships for you. Most psychological internships are actually paid internships where you have to pay to the company in order to do it. But that's okay. We will see that where we can place you, and we will figure out a few places and send you there for internships also. So this way, if we start working from now onward, we have, let's say, time till next year, month of July. Okay? Because August the application will start. So month of May onward, we will have to start planning our universities, because as US would have more than 4,500 universities spread all over the region. So we will have to look at places which are close to where your grandparents live, okay, if that is a
Not
priority.
really. That's not really
Okay.
a priority.
That does not matter. Great.
Yeah.
So if it does not matter, then what we can do is we can look at popular universities. Okay. So we'll figure out around about say 10 or 15 universities for you. Out of that, you will choose, let's say, 5 or 6 universities of your choice. And then we will tell you that, how to go about the essays. So the application in US is also pretty complex because we will use a portal called Common App that will ask for essays. Plus, once we submit the application, each university will also ask for subsequent applications and essays. So we'll have to do all of that. So that's why the number of universities should not be more than 5 or 6. Okay? So that we can manage each of these things very nicely. And also, please remember that January 2024, you will be facing your pre-boards. So you want to finish everything, you should actually finish everything before December 30th of next year. So that is how, and of course, you will need an IELTS score, okay? IELTS or TOEFL, either of the two works. So that is how it is. So we will be with you with the entire profile building part, also the university applications part. Plus, once you get your offers, we will help you decide which offer to take, and we will guide you for your visa applications as well as your accommodation also. Okay. So that is how it will work. Right. Any other questions that you
So can you guide her how she can enter in IFS and what she can like? She was saying yesterday like art side is mandatory for IFS, but
have?
I
No, it's not. It's not. It's not. Science students can also get into IFS. Commerce students can also get into IFS. Anybody can get into an IFS. Look how
so
it
what will be the
works.
procedure?
Yeah, yeah. So
Yeah.
how it works is that all people who want to become an IAS, IPS, or IFS, let mom come back.
No, no worries, no worries. I'm just coming.
Yeah, so what is more important to you, becoming a psychologist or becoming an IFS officer?
Being an officer is like a kind of a dream, to be honest. The luxury life is kind of a dream of being one, as like my father really gloats about being a diplomat and the immunities about it and everything about it.
Okay,
So
so how it works is that there is a common entrance for IAS, IPS, IFS, IRS, and IE, which is known as UPSC.
UPSC.
Okay, so the first eligibility criteria is that you have to be an Indian citizen, which you are. Number two, you have to be a graduate in any field of study. Okay? So let's say I do my graduation from anywhere in the world, and then I have to get a relevant certificate from that country stating that this course is equivalent to an Indian graduation course. Okay? With that, you can come back. You have to then prepare for the test because it is one of the toughest tests in the entire universe. Okay? So there will be a there will be a domain-based subject where you have to choose 3 or 4 papers, and then there will be a aptitude part also in the entrance. Okay? So first is mains. Okay, first is prelims where it is aptitude plus subject. Then there is mains where majorly subject. If you clear the mains, then there is English. Now, based on your rank, you are given the designations of IFS, IS, or IPS. Okay? So that is how the entire thing works. But it is at the moment a little far fetched. Okay, you can start planning and preparing against it, but first step is to get into graduation. You're right now in 11th. You're just 1 year away from starting your applications. So at the moment, we should focus more on the graduation part. Once you start your graduation, then we start focusing on your postgrad or your UPSC as well. Okay? So that is how it works. So let's take the first step together, and then probably you can take it off from there. Any other questions?
Not really. Not really.
Yeah. So in case you would like to work with us and take it forward from here, we would be sending you an email right after this meeting, which will state that what is the scope of our work, what are our financials. So just to brief you, ma'am, For a 2 year period, for doing the entire profiling plus applications, my charges are 1.7 lakhs, okay, inclusive of everything. And all outward going charges like the university application fee, the visa charges to the consultancy, all of that is borne by you, not by us. Okay. And just to reinstate, this will include all the profile building activities, which will be handled by two mentors. One mentor who will advise her regarding the work and will counsel her regarding her choices. Okay. Second mentor will give her day-to-day activities and will follow up with her regarding completion of activities. So Ananya, you will need to spend round about say 6 hours per week in order to do those activities. Nothing beyond that. 6 hours is fine, I believe. Okay. So that is there. And second team of applications will start working with you from the month of May. Okay? And the team of applications will be, comprised of 2 to 3 people. One will be looking at executing the applications, and there will be one more person doing your essays, and I will be strategizing your set of universities. Okay, and your entire strategy of applications will be devised by me. Then there will be a separate team which will be helping you for your visa. So three teams involved, approximately 5 to 8 people will be involved in your entire structure of things, right? So that is how it works, right? Hello, it was great talking to you. If you have any further questions, my colleague Anjali will be in touch with you. So you can send her, your queries, and we will be more than glad to answer.
Fine.
Thank
Thank
you
you
so
so much.
much.
Thank you.